Hey guys, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. This is going to be a little bit of a flow, I believe, and a little bit of an energetic update, depending on what we have going on in this message. I will potentially be doing a recap of the week this weekend because it's relevant for the entire month of January, from what I've been shown. So we are being called to air out the airwaves, the aqueducts, the regions in our own body, in our own space, before we let, I'm hearing, air out the grievances in other people's spaces. For right now is all about us fine-tuning our own system, our own systematic release, our own systematic relief, if you will. And when I say relief, I'm seeing a portrait or a painting, some type of artwork. For many of us are reunifying with aspects of ourselves that have been lost in the shuffle, so to speak. And oftentimes we feel lost in the shuffle because we are unable to access these realms and regions of ourself, if you will. So it's a sense of irony, if you will. Oh, this is all a play on words. It's ironic that the adjustments that are coming in seem like they're coming from outside of us. And we would venture to say that they are. The sun and the stars, the moon and Mars, planets in retrograde, Mercury, and other devisable schematics that allow us to map out efficiently our reality. And this is merely a scaffolding and a map of what our own innards, play on words, inside of us looks like. For we are inside of and inside of and inside of, insight of, insightful, full of insightfulness in these now moments. And so we are a fractal, if you will, of all that is in and within us. The cells that are inside of us may look a certain way under a microscope, yet we would venture to say they are their own schematic. They live in their own reality, in their own world, in their own bubble. And you are a cell, if you will, and you are part of the mycelium that is folded and encapsulated within the Earth network. The veins that run through your network are also very similar to and not far removed from, getting a tickle, sorry, are not far removed from that is inside the Earth, that is moving through the Earth currently as we speak, in currents of energies that are cycling through and recycling and breaking down and moving liquids and other things to and from, to and fro. So recognizing that this is no different than what is going on inside of your own body, it kind of brings us into a realization, if you will, a realization in kind that allows us to tap into a different kind of network, our own inner frequency and geometry, genometry, that allows us to recognize what it is that we are feeling, sensing, seeing, observing, and growing through, because we are moving through and growing out into a new spectrum, if you will, a new spectrum of vibrancy and color that, until we begin to vibrate with this vibrancy, this rate of variancy, this rate of speed, this vibrancy, before we sometimes are able to get there, if you will, we must stop, drop in, and see where our vibration, our resonance, our harmony is needing an adjustment. I'm hearing an attitude adjustment. For our genome, our Earth, if you will, our own planetary system, in which we were birthed into, in which we were birthed from, the microcosm to the macrocosm, I'm seeing literally the spermatozoa and the egg. It's all a fractal. And so we would invite you to reorganize your own scattered energies and draw them back into your own space, your own genome. Allow yourself to come back to the place called home in your body, in your heart. And we reiterate this because things are about to start, if you will, speeding up. Things have already begun. And we say this now, for all is now. But from a linear perspective, things have already begun to become spun, meaning we are spinning our golden web of frequency and energy that is co-creating our next reality. And yet we're living in a particular reality full of particulates and particles in this now moment. And so this energy that we are existing within on this version of our own skin planetary system must acclimate, must integrate, and must expand in order to store more of what is in store. And so this is where we continue to come back again and again, time and time again, to remind ourselves, to focus on the self. And this is not selfish. For in order to focus on the greater good, in order to focus on service to the planet, service to others, service to fill in the blanks, we must first focus on ourselves. For this is the medium in which we utilize, in which we use to create and to expand into new points of view. For we see from this, we use this as our own application, our own paintbrush, if you will, our own tool in order to use, I'm hearing avatar tool, in order to co-create. Yet we are beyond this particular physical vessel, but here we are in this physical vessel communicating to you, and each of you are in a physical vessel using your ears to listen, using your entire system to be present with this series of messages that we are sharing. And so in essence, we must hone in on our own essential nutrients, our own essential nutrition, our own essential vibration in order to essentially birth this new reality, energy, frequency, whatever it is that we are seeking to look forward to create into, to make real into our reality. I keep hearing into, right? Into, in us. And I'm seeing a cell mitosis. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, it becomes the flower of life. And this is how it works. This is how fractal and cell, all of it works. So this is so important. We cannot emphasize it enough. For as these energies fluctuate, so too will your own ability to merge and acquire certain things that are being brought in, we could say, from the manifold that you are existing within. For the manifold that we are connected into, I'm being called to just stop for a moment and look at that. So I'm going to read briefly from Wikipedia. I'm just being guided to stop and do this because over the years I've done these videos and I use a lot of really crazy words, and then I run out of time to go back and interpret what those messages are and so I'm trying to be a little bit more time sensitive here, and eventually I'll go back and share those videos because they're going to be relevant for a while. But the manifold that we are folded into. So in mathematics, a manifold is a topical space. Okay, more precisely, it is a dimensional manifold, it's a topological space with the property that each point has a neighborhood. that is homeomorphic to an open subset of dimensional Euclidean space. So that explains it, right? You get that, right? I mean, I'm sure you physicists out there watching this understand what I just said. So the concept of a manifold is central to many parts of geometry, modern mathematical physics. So let's just kind of play with this as a, it talks about the figure 8, the sphere. So I'm just curves. Okay. So I'm just seeing geometries and topology. And I think the reference here is, I think it's applying much to topological manifolds. That's kind of what I'm hearing, but it could be a lot of things. And it's really, let's kind of keep playing with this. It's talking about a sphere with a positive coordinate to a disk. So I'll have to play with this and come back to it. I thought that would help, but a finite cylinder, for example, is a manifold with a boundary. And that's an example of a manifold. So I play with this because I always see man folding into, there's if you have, let's say, a sculpture, right? Or when you imprint something, you pour into something, it makes a shape. That's what I see, the reference that they're referring to. As we fold into this manifold, we offer a series of spaces and places in which we can access certain frequencies that have yet to exist. While all things are in existence already from one perspective, we are also creating in this reality new things, if you will, new creations that we have yet to discover or remember, one might say. And we are in the process of receiving those downloads now, or bits, BYTS, of information that allow us, I'm hearing chock full of reorganization, chemistry sets, chemical components, physical applications. So much is coming in and is already here, has already landed. But in order to access these, our frequency must match, I'm hearing match, set, love, match this cohesivity in order to cohesively activate, integrate, and create and co-create in this reality where the collective experience is held at a higher accountability. And this is a play on words for, I'm seeing like the rhythm has to count. There's more numbers. So there's more responsibility. And so if we're not balanced and we're falling apart, I'm hearing it's where the rubber meets the road. And I'm hearing it's where the edges meet. And then we fold out from there. For within this Euclidean space is is much more than meets the eye, is a quasi-symmetry of infinite design. And so we are explaining this as best we can within these energies, for in this soup of conductivity, you are all recharging your battery at times. And I'm being shown that's me too. I'm being called to slow down and allow the energy to be fully met with just a peace and love, rather than just letting all the electricity come in. I'm holding a different kind of space. And that's a play on words. So I'm holding this space so that I can create that pattern. Eventually I might shift and become more electrical and higher, faster, but I don't want to burn out. I'm hearing burn out the day, burn out the night. I'm burning for you. So it's a little bit of, we've got to go in this for the long haul. Before we jump the line, before we jump the finish line, we must create an affitable, that's a play on words, that fits in an A frame, an affitable start line. So here's our start line, one might say. And as we deal the cards, as we sit and get ready to play, we're taking a look at the scoreboard. We are starting to reorganize our senses. And because we are playing, I'm hearing poker, it's like a game. And so we're assessing the other players, we're assessing our own cards, yet the cards haven't even been dealt because you are playing with yourself. Essentially, you are the dealer and the player being dealt the cards. So we all have access to the same cards. How we choose to deal them and how we choose to deal with them is up to us. And we are the charge moving forward that creates this new land before time, if we wish to call it that. And so we remind everyone this is a linear presentation in this format of language and interpretation, yet we are talking about time having a different frequency. It holds a different juice, one might say. Many of us are feeling the pull to play with time in a different way, and this will be addressed at a potential future transmission in a much deeper scale. And so we go back to the vibration that is necessary right now in order to reach that scale. And I'm seeing check balances, staying balanced, and I'm just seeing that it also is like going up. So I'm hearing it's level off and then it goes up, it levels off and it goes up, it levels off and it goes up. So even though we were here, and this isn't a hierarchical thing, it's an energetic thing. We could say we are expanding, 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 expanding. We may not have realized this, but this is what's happening. So now, and I'm hearing it's a growth squirt. So we're going to get these growth squirts, and this has to do with the pineal gland. It has to do with the kundalini. It has to do with the pituitary gland. It has to do with neurological activity. It has to do with our understanding of our relationship with space. And I'm seeing that's a play on words, space, but ace is in the hole. I'm hearing fire in the hole. And I could take that route right now and just boom, 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 knock it out. But I'm being called to just lay low and let it all kind of settle a little bit. And so as we follow this particular spiral, we invite you not to get spiraled out too much, yet we are doing just that. We are spiraling out of a pattern that we were once locked into, if you wish to call it that. For we are the key holders. I'm seeing Ghostbusters. Are you the key holder? Oh, key master. We are the lock key, if you will. Oh, that's a play on words. And so we are much more advanced inside than we even realize. And for inside of us holds something much more accessible and yet also quantifiable, yet beyond all of that. So we use words that have a form, but it is beyond the form that your soul is poured into. For your entirety is not just in this physical body, yet you have access to the entirety of you. And so I'm seeing a tire, by the way, of like a toroidal, how a tire is shaped. I'm seeing a donut. So the more you allow your charge to go the long haul, the long wave, the more you can balance out the frequencies, the easier it will be to understand the relevancy of this particular phase of your development. And why would it be important to understand this? It isn't necessarily that you will know the mathematical codes and geometrical equivalents and expressions that make up the map of reality, yet you will be able to see your own individual map in your own individual way and essentially move in the way that is most fluid to you, for reality has become more fluid. because your point of view and perspective has expanded, because your ability to shift and change and morph as directed by you has also become more accessible. You then are able to view your map. I'm seeing the old viewfinders, like, oh, I'm going to look through this for a minute and see what's ahead. That's a plan. I'm seeing a lot of things, but that's one thing. The scope. It changes how far you are able to see from one perspective, but this doesn't mean into the future, for it allows you to be more present in the now, which allows you to foresee the future because of the shape that you are creating now. And as this bubbles out, it encapsulates within the bubble. It encapsulates within the bubbles new postulates, new expressions of source. For you are the frequency that is source. You are the frequency that is expressing through source. You are expressing through this frequency that is source. And you are creating the source of the sound that is part of source's resources for growth, expression, expansion, and creation. Does that make sense? So I'm just being called to stop for just a second, because we are a fractal and there's no separation between us and the spirit that moves through all things, we'll call it. It's what the indigenous peoples called this. Oop, all right, buddy. And so it's like we're understanding more of ourselves, so then source knows more too. It's hard to explain, and I don't always explain it, but that's to the best of my abilities to say, keep it simple, star seeds. So we are almost, like the fingertips of source. We think we're so far away from, moving up the arm into the heart. We think it's, if you picture little tiny cells in the body, they know what their job is, they understand and they function, but they don't necessarily see us as we see us. They see their own reality in their own way. And when I say see, that's up for interpretation as well. Does it really see a cell? How does it function? How does it operate? I mean, I'm just saying that we're kind of that in regards to this energy or web of life, or the mycelium. When the mycelium, it's where did the original mycelium connect? It's like the fascia in the body. So, and the synapses in the brain, and it comes back to the original source, right, of that beginning. And what I'm seeing is we've created this reality is very much more fluid than it was. This new world, this new, I'm hearing watery realm. This includes our matrix, the plasma, but this also includes our bodies. So this is important, and I have a feeling we'll be covering these topics a lot more. And I'm sure, well, let's just keep going. And so we invite everyone to recognize that there's much to absorb. There is much that we have absorbed that is time to diffuse. There's another word for that. For this allows us to, okay. Again, I'm being called to just briefly talk about that. And it comes from, diffusion comes from the Latin word spread out. So it allows us to diffuse. This is such a play on words. Like when you diffuse a bomb, right? You diffuse something, but you're actually using it to spread out into a higher region of space. And this has to do with certain things that we've absorbed in our bodies, that the earth has absorbed, that our galaxy has absorbed. And we're going through this massive purge, which we've already gone through to a certain extent, but it isn't, I'm hearing, and that's neither here nor there. So it just is, and we'll get back into that flow. Hearing live long and prosper. Is that Star Trek, or was that Mork and Mindy? Oh, that's so funny. You guys ever watch that show, those old reruns? They're hilarious. Weird, but okay. So as we access this new as we accept this scepter, as we move through this new specter of space, it allows us to embrace these divine aspects of ourselves. And as we do this, our cells celebrate. For if we can feel the blissful charge that is incorporated, I'm just going to play with this because some of these words are definitely play on words. Incorporated. Then it allows us to diffuse certain situations that are a little bit more, I'm hearing, just connected to the old patriarchy. This allows us to reclaim our own scepter, our own sense of divine access to the keys and the codes of the higher realms. For many of us have been taught that we must go through someone else to access these. And this is not, in truth, the only truth. We may always use another resource and combine our resources in order to fully embrace or understand more. Yet each person and individual carries their own code or filtration system in which the information is predisposed or disposed of, and we could play with this a bit more. We need to clarify for a minute and clear out the impurities. I'm seeing clarified butter and I'm seeing gold. Because as we do this, as we fortify our own sense of who we are, and we establish our own sense of, I'm seeing authority from a non-hierarchical way, from not from a place where we need to follow or obey. We come into a new place where we all say, I see you. I'm seeing a reference to Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Ken. For we are all part of the same manifold, if you will, and we are all connected. And yet we have come here to create an individualized experience. Yet many of us have agreed at this point in space time, I'm hearing conjecture, phase of evolution, if you will. I'm going slow because I have 4 different conversations or messages going on in my head. Well, beyond my head. Some of it's very science. Some of it, I'm hearing a lot of different words that could be used. So I'm choosing to try to stay balanced in my scales so that I can kind of merge in and out of both of them. And this allows us to sparkle and shine much more, for we wish to help each other more. We wish to see others sparkle and shine. We wish to, I'm seeing washing each other's feet, shining each other's shoes, and also receiving that as well. For when we all reach out a helping hand, we all move past this need to lead or the need to follow. We become our own impactful leaders and helpers. And we all have a role, if you will, that we wish to play. And this role that we have been playing at this stage wishes to be changed. And that's a play on words. I'm seeing, well, king, queen, value system. So I'm having a reference to scales. I'm having a reference to the crown, the king and the queen, and I'm having a reference to the spectrum that we're accessing. So, in a nutshell, I'm going to end on this note. I'm running out of time here, but we are in the process of really creating, and being more aware of it. And so, the more we get to know ourselves, the more we remember how much we are connected, the easier it is to co create as a collective. Doesn't mean we have to agree with everyone. It doesn't mean that we have to create in the same way. It is about us coming back to the self, the I amness in all of this, so that as we do this, we are less scattered as we spread out. We're actually more connected. And as we do this, we're able to then harness and pull through many of the energies that we weren't necessarily able to before, because of density, because of, I'm hearing particular growth patterns. Almost, it has to do with mathematics. So I'm just going to end on that note. I invite you to just feel this through the heart, and take some time today. Just drink a little extra water, sit down with yourself for 10 minutes, and just focus on your breathing, your body, how you feel. Ask yourself, what do I need to support myself right now for my highest good, greatest growth, and heart felt frequency of love? So, in love and light, namaste.